Yo, what's up? This is Dyzee of the Supernaturals crew, and if you got this video, it's most likely because you are an owner or a manager of a breaking school or a breaking academy, a breaking studio, or a breaking club. And I most likely haven't had the opportunity to meet with you online or in person to give you this presentation, and I figure that it's going to be easier if I just record this and send this to you so that you can watch this when you have time, so you can know what the BLOC project is all about. So here we go. This is the BLOC Breaking League of Organizations and Clubs, and it's our plan to unite and build the global breaking community. So let's begin. So as you all know, breaking went to the 2024 Paris Olympics, and whether you have a positive view of that or a negative view of that, or a positive experience or a negative experience, we can all come to a place where we can say, there's something needs to be done, right? We can still do something to make things better, and not necessarily to take away from that whole path towards the sporting route, and not to take away from the breaking scene as it already is, right? We want all these things to still be there, but we can build something new, and we wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for the Olympics, because we've learned a lot. There's a lot that we have learned. So what have we learned? Well, after the Olympics, the majority of our breaking culture, we now understand a few very important things, such as one, we now know that there's a need for a transparent judging system that comes from the culture, right? Like when we were seeing the Olympics, I think a lot of people have now realized that there needs to be a system that explains what's going on so the general audience can understand. The second thing is that we also realize that there needs to be a certification system that comes from our culture, from the breaking community, right? Like we need to start certifying rather than other organizations doing the certification process, because of course they're going to have other interests if they're not from the breaking culture, right? We also now understand the possibility of how high breaking can go. Like it went to the Olympics. If breaking can go to the Olympics, it can go even bigger, right? And we also have learned that there is a need. This is what people are talking about. A lot of people are talking about this. There's a need for an international breaking organization made by B-boys and B-girls for the B-boys and B-girls, right? There's always talks everywhere, international breaking organization, something that belongs to us. We now learn this is needed. And we also have to learned the fact that we couldn't have gone to the Olympics without an outside organization being the one to spearhead us there, because it's not easy to be recognized by the Olympics and to have gone there. And so we realized that we needed this organization to take us there, right? And lastly, we as a culture, we know that we've learned that we need to find another way, right? Something else, and carve a new path. And once again, in my opinion, that's breaking clubs. Now, a lot of people are going to ask me, wait, what is a breaking club, right? So just to make it clear, breaking clubs, breaking studios, breaking academies, or breaking schools, they're almost pretty much the same thing. But if you're taking the breaking studio or school model, there's a slight difference between the two. Breaking schools or studios, they usually have their revenue by selling classes. Right, that's their main revenue stream. You're selling classes, to as many breaking classes as possible. It's a very difficult revenue stream, but it is usually how breaking studios and schools work. And then of course, sometimes these studios and schools are going to make little tiny events so that their kids can battle, especially if your school's in a place where there's not many competitions, right? And sometimes, or majority of the times, you may not even make money from organizing events, right? Where a breaking club is a lot different, not so different, but the difference with breaking clubs and breaking studios and schools, that the breaking clubs, they more focus on selling memberships. Okay, so they have multiple revenue streams coming in, right, at the same time, right? So their whole mission for a breaking club is to serve the members, no matter what age, no matter what level, right? And they're serving the members according to what their needs are. So if their needs are that they need a place to practice, they can have a spot that they can always go to practice and make their own training time, similar to like a gym. They also can sell classes to them. They say, hey, you need classes to get better, to get a head start, and get you on a certain level, then they can sell classes. And then if you need coaching, specific people to help coach you and get you going and get you like, to the next level, with a one-on-one, just like the gym, like a gym membership, you have gym coaches. And then also, a breaking club can also have leagues and events, right? So you can make like little battle leagues and stuff like that in there, similar to soccer. Now, the one interesting thing about breaking clubs, if we were following a sports club model, which is what this model was built after or based off, is that breaking clubs should have a pro team that represents that entire club, right? And which is the best of the best that come from that club, right? And that pro team, develops a fan base, right? And then you can organize games and very interesting showdowns against other cities, just like soccer. And then, of course, because you're building a fan base of people who are coming to watch you, then you can also sell merchandise to all those people. So I know this might sound strange, but this is exactly what we have been doing in Taiwan. So we have the Dream Runners breaking clubs, even though we do use the word studios because people they know the word studio, even though they speak majority Chinese, right, in Taiwan. But so the word studio is understandable, but breaking clubs, they're going to be like, huh, what is that, right? But it's basically essentially a breaking club. So the breaking club, right, like Dream Runners has 4 breaking clubs in 4 different cities in Taiwan. 2 of them have over 600 members, right? And then we have another one in Taichung, which is 200, and then another one in Hsinchu that has 90 members. And then our breaking clubs also has an event team that runs all the events, which is a profitable side of it as well. And because we have so many members, we also have a social media team. Dream Runners also has a product and merchandise team because with over 1,500 members, everyone wears the Dream Runners shirt because everyone's down in this club. And they don't buy just one because they're training a lot. When you're taking classes or having coaches, you can come and practice all day if you want. So you have multiple shirts. So the merchandise is a big revenue side of the club, right? And then we also have like club versus club league. So we put up against each other and people join so they can challenge themselves against other cities, and it's like just a whole bunch of fun. And that's another way to bring in revenue as well. And we have grown to a level where there's about 45 or maybe even more, 50 staff, and there are about 23 is full-time and 22 is part-time staff. It's full-time pay, legal pay, not under the table kind of stuff, right? So now a lot of people might be asking me, why breaking clubs? Like, why am I so invested in breaking clubs? If you've seen me on social media, I talk about this a lot, because, well, breaking clubs, I really believe they're the future, because number one, breaking clubs and breaking studios, breaking schools are self-funded and self-sustained, right? We're not like regular breaking crews. They're not they don't have a business model that's funding its activities, right? It's just each person coming to practice wherever they practice, and if they need to go somewhere, they need to do something or need to invest in something, it's a lot harder to do, especially with breaking crews. I'm speaking on behalf of my crew Supernaturals, how we were before back in the day, right? And then another thing is that breaking clubs, the very important thing about each breaking club that's popping up all over the world, when I say breaking club, I'm still including breaking studios, schools, academies. These schools, studios, academies, and clubs focus on serving a specific location, which is very important. So we're all in different places around the world, serving those locations in different parts, in different cities, all around the world, everywhere, right? And what's very important about breaking clubs is that we're continually building up and raising the next generation of super B-boys and B-girls. Literally, a lot of the kids that we have now are going to be future champions. They're going to be the best of the best. So if you give us 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 10 years, breaking clubs is going to be the future if we really do something now about it, right? And number 4, what I've found is, well, what everyone knows that, B-boys are not very good at doing business together. It's sometimes very hard, but usually real B-boys, real B-girls are the ones that open up breaking studios, clubs, academies, etc., right? And so I found that breaking club owners or breaking studio owners are more business minded and a lot easier to work with. Where before, if you're trying to get two breaking crews to work together, it was like impossible. But now we actually have an ability now to do this, right? Another thing that we all understand is that breaking club owners, we understand something, that a healthy breaking community, if we create a healthy breaking community, it's going to create a healthy breaking business. And so we just get this concept of trying to do things right, trying to act right, trying to be right, you know what I mean? And lastly, all other sports actually work this way, right? Like whether all niche industries, right? Whether it's like Pokemon, you know, or motorcycle riding or sports clubs, or they all work with the club model, right? And so, you know, why try to reinvent a wheel when there's, you know, multiple examples of this worldwide? Now, of course, everyone's going to be saying there's going to be a lot of obstacles, and these are the obstacles, the top obstacles to this plan that I've heard along the way, right? So, for example, number one, so a lot of people say, well, you know, how can we actually build an international breaking federation from scratch? Who's going to do it? Where's it going to be registered? What are the rules, the laws? Where does the money come from? What is the business? Like, there's so many questions about how does that work? Who's done this before? Right? Like, you know, like we don't know anyone, right? This is the reason why a certain organization was able to fully take control, you know, for the taking breaking to the Olympics, because none of us know how to do that, right? Well, very few do know, but I'm talking about international, global, worldwide, right? And even if we did do it, right, how long would it actually take us to be able to meet the standards of being recognized by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee? That's going to take like 50 years. It's going to take a super long time, so we might as well forget about that, right? And even without that, so putting the Olympics thing aside, if we're going our own way, how can we promote and grow breaking, you know, especially without the Olympics now, because the Olympics was the big hope, right? So how do we build something without that? And another question is, no matter what we make, no matter what we create, how do we know that it's not going to be, the format won't be easily duplicated or copied by, you know, a big corporation or a certain organization or whatever, right? Like, how can we build something that others won't just copy our format and then get away with it, right? Because this actually happened, right? Like, you know, to the breaking scene, right? Like, you know, from Undisputed to, you know, the BC1, and then all of a sudden the Olympics format is basically the same thing, just a one-on-one competition, just, you know, just on a higher level. So how do we guard ourselves against that, right? And another big obstacle is that each breaking club and studio and school, we have our own business model, right? We have our own teaching systems, our own judging standards. So how do we decide which one of these are we going to use, right? And another obstacle is that how do we unite the various breaking clubs across the entire world if we have never worked together before? So what does that even look like? Like, how do we work together? And you're all the way in another country, and we're all the way in another country, in another city. Like, how can we work together, right? That's a very legitimate question, okay? And then how can we truly include, and I think a lot of you know, people who have created breaking studios and schools and academies, you're a real B-boy, you're a real B-girl, and if you're a real B-boy and you're a real B-girl, you care about the culture and you care about the ones that have inspired us along the way, right? So how can we truly include the pioneers and legends who built this dance and culture? That's another legitimate question. And the last one is, with many of us breaking studios, schools, and clubs being small businesses, you know, we got a lot of work and stuff on your plate, you know, and you don't have a lot of time because you're continually working and trying to build your business. So what kind of benefits can this organization give to us, give to the clubs and studios? How does it benefit the clubs and studios? So these are legitimate obstacles and questions that we need to address. So if I was going to take all these questions and then create a roadmap, this is what it would be. Here's a roadmap solution, okay? Number one, right? Since it's going to be so difficult to start from scratch, the best thing that we can do is partner with the right organization who has successfully done what we want to be done for other subcultures or other entities or someone else who's already done it before, right? From there, we'll start to focus on benefiting and strengthening the breaking studios, schools, academies, and clubs, okay? Benefit them, strengthen them. That's going to be the main goal. The next one is to create a breaking club business conference, an actual event for club, studio, academy owners to network and share ideas, share tips, share knowledge, work together so that we can all strengthen and build together, right? Then, after that, we would co-develop an international breaking club versus breaking club league, okay? Like the different breaking clubs, let's start building something together that we all have an ownership of, right? Like an international club versus club league, right? Once we have this, we can start including the OGs and legends into the creation of the judging system, the standards, giving them incentives to join, right? Like, you know, like actually including them mainly into the system side of it, the standards and the knowledge of what is, how to judge breaking, right? So once we have these things, right, like a breaking club versus breaking club league, you know, our business conference, the OGs helping with the system, now this is going to be a time where we are solidifying a structure that won't be easily duplicated, because what are these corporations going to do? Are they going to start planting breaking clubs all over the world? They wouldn't be able to do that. The best that they would be able to do is start, you know, sponsoring the different clubs and different places. But, you know, we'll see, right? We'll see, right? But this is not going to be easily duplicated, right? From there, we can start to, or we should be allowing each breaking club to have its own format at a local level. No one telling you how to run your club or do it, because it'll all boil down to the results of the breaking club versus breaking club battles and showdowns and leagues and championships that we have together, right? So, you know, you have complete autonomy over your club, of how you run it, the standards, the system, you know, in your club, right? And then from there, we start to build together a die-hard fan base, meaning like great fans, like think of like NBA, think of like FIFA, think of like that, right? And transition into a pro breaking league, right? Where it's based, we're bringing the fans from the outside coming in. You know, that's how we start building a fan base. And lastly, if we want, during that time, if we were able to successfully do all those things, if we want, not saying we have to, then perhaps we can re-enter the Olympics as the team versus team battles, right? Because we actually have the structure to support that, right? So the question is, where do we start? Where do we go from here? Okay? How do we begin this journey to the promised land? So this is what I believe. Step one, okay? If we're going through the roadmap solutions, if we're looking back at that, the first step is to partner with the right international organization. Okay. Now I know, because of, you know, in our past, you know, we may be weary of international organizations, you know, that are outside of the culture, but this is more about partnering with them, right? Like working with them, right? Not working for them. It's a little bit different. Whichever one we work with, whichever international organization that decides to help us, they have to have a few requirements, right, for us to consider even working with them. So number one, okay, they have to understand sports law and governance and all those things, right? Which is why, you know, another organization was the one that was able to bring us into the Olympics, because they had that. And none of us in the breaking community know international sports law, right? From what I know, unless we hire someone, right? But who's going to pay for that, right? Number two, this international organization needs to, of course, understand and respect, you know, breaking as a culture and as a sport at the same time. Like, they have to respect us, our culture, and us as a dance, right? They need to also want to have an ideal partnership with breaking, right? Not to control us, or not, of course, not to exploit us, but to actually have a real solid partnership and say, hey, we want to work together, win-win on both sides, right? Another thing that this partner organization needs to have is they have to already have an existing global infrastructure, okay? Because if they don't have that global infrastructure, then how can they help us, right? And not only a global infrastructure, but they also have to have it primarily done through the same format: clubs, studios, academies. They already have to do that, because if they don't know how to benefit clubs, studios, and academies and all these things, then how can they help us? Because that's what we want. That's what we're looking for. So they need to already have done that, right? Been there, done that, right? And a big one is that they need to be willing to give us the autonomy over the judging system and the standards, right? Which is going to be tough, right? Because most of the time, when you work with people, they want to control that, right? But can you imagine an organization that actually is willing to do that for us? And lastly, they have to already have an infrastructure and governance already in place, right? So that if we in the very future, far future, or near or future or far, wherever, decide that we want to be recognized by the IOC, it already can be done, right? It can be done. And that's the way that it won't take us 50 to 100 years if we ever wanted to, go that route with bringing the nation versus nation team battles, right? So I need to introduce to you guys an organization that I actually met, and I've been talking with them over a year. Some of you may have heard the name, and if you haven't heard the name, I want to introduce you to the International Dance Organization, also known as IDO. Okay. Now, of course, the question is going to be, why IDO? Well, IDO actually is very interesting. The more I spoke to them, the more I got to really know them and just learned so much, and it really blew my mind, right? They actually have a history going back to 1984, right? Where they are actually the first international organization to ever hold an international world championships breaking competition. They're the first. And this traces back to 1984, which Maurizio won, and later Storm was also one of the winners. Right? So this is Maurizio. Crazy. Yeah. And another thing about IDO is that they've also helped to build all their dance disciplines into sustainable industries. Now they've only kept breaking. When they do their championships, they still keep breaking, but they've never really done it with working with the scene and everything. That they've just kept breaking as a tradition since they've always had it since 1984, right? So we can't. I've learned that I can't really tell them, hey, why were you organizing breaking competitions outside of the scene? And it's because they've been doing it since 1984. Which completely blew my mind, right? They also have a track record of working relationships with clubs, schools, and studios. So they know how to do that. They know how to benefit the clubs, schools, and studios, right? And they also, this is a big one for me, they believe that the judging system should come from the OGs, legends, and the culture. Like they actually said, when I said this is how I believe that the system should belong to the culture, they agreed. They're like, yes, it should be like that, right? And they have a complete democratic process of how they run their organization, and they'll help us to do the same, right? To create our own democratic process and show us the ropes of how that works, right? And one big thing about them is that if you look up their website, they're one of the biggest things that they're about is developing and promoting dance, right, as a sustainable lifestyle career. They want to develop all types of dances. They want to promote all types of dances. That's really what they're about. They're not about governance, right? Which is, for any organization that wants to be recognized by the Olympics, you have to have governance as your governing and governance as one of your main criteria, right? Because that's an Olympics requirement, right? And even without the Olympics, though, together we can still build the FIFA of breaking. Okay? And that's the high-level concept, is to build like the FIFA or NBA of breaking. Okay? So here is the vision to reality, and this is basically the plan, right? There's many layers of the plan, but we're only going to start at phase 1. Okay, so phase 1 is all about unity and strengthening each of our breaking clubs, breaking schools, and uniting us together, right? Bringing us together. That's phase 1. Okay, so to work with IDEO, right, I really believe that in order for us to work with them, there needs to be some requirements on their behalf that they have to prove to us, the breaking community and the breaking culture, right? And at this, right, so they're proving it to us, and at the same time we have to prove some things back to them as well. We have to show them. It's got to be a give and take, because it's a partnership, right? They want to have a partnership with us, not control us. We're not joining them and saying, okay, you got to follow all our rules. We're really creating a partnership. Okay, so IDEO has to prove 3 things, in my opinion, right? Number 1, they don't want to control us, right? They don't want to govern us and say this is exactly how you have to do everything. Okay. 2, that they respect the culture, right? They respect us as a culture, as a dance, as an art form. And 3, that they're actually willing to invest something into breaking clubs, the breaking club's future, like the actual breaking clubs that they're willing to invest something so that we can actually build and go to the next level. That's something that will benefit us. Okay. And for breaking clubs, what we have to, prove to them is that, number 1, simply we're just willing to work with them. We're willing to do something with them. And 2, that we're actually capable of self-sustainability, which is the reason why I believe in breaking clubs and breaking studios and breaking schools, because, dance studios, dance schools, they send their kids to competitions, right? Where in the breaking world, the breaking world's always has to invite crews to come, right? But the other world is different, right? And number 3, what we have to also prove to IDEO is that we actually have the culture behind us, that are willing to come with us and do something and work together, right? So this is not easy, but there are 3 main things that I believe cover this, okay, that cover all these requirements and proof. Okay, number 1, BLOC, the BLOC, is actually, if you saw on my Instagram or my Facebook, I just stated that this is an actual independent organization, separate from IDEO. We only have a MOU together, a memorandum of understanding of how our partnership is going to work together. This independent organization that we're building right now, that we want to build with you and whoever is watching this, is that this is registered in Italy. The office is in Slovenia, and it's basically sponsored or supported by IDEO. So IDEO is helping to build this, for us to build it together, right? Like they're actually like, it's almost like we're being sunned, you know what I mean? The second thing is that they're willing, IDEO, for all the IDEO related events, BLOC is going to run the judging system, which they decided that they're going to adopt the OUR system, the R16 judging system from back in the days, right? So they've agreed to adopt the our system into all their IDEO sanctioned breaking events that are part of their IDEO World Championships and stuff, right? They're not creating a brand new system that they can own, right? And then they can charge certifications and make money from this, right? They're leaving it to us, and it's the other way around, right? They also agree that the judging system, criteria, standards, and certification should be run by B-boys, OGs, and pioneers, which is what I've been talking about for like how many years already? Like decades, over a decade already, right? Okay, so in my goal is to make it so that the certification, when people are getting certified, like if you wanted to be certified to judge for the Olympics, you had to go through a congress, you had to do the training, you had to do a test, and then pay for the final certification and whatnot, right? This is standard across all sports and all things like this, right? But the difference with us is that if we were to do this, a piece of those fees, of certification fees, of judging certification fees, are going to be royalties to the OGs that help to put this together, to get their stamp of approval and to get them continually monitoring the standards of judging, of like what is judging, what is breaking, right? Like so And then we as clubs can also, if we want, not saying we have to, we're not forced to, but if we want to take what these OGs have put together, the standards, then we can also help to use these to teach and certify and do all these things as well. So it's like a synergy, right? And they're also investing into an Our System app that makes it easy for everyone to use, where if you wanted to bring in all these other systems, it's difficult, right? You have to fly a couple of people and all this stuff, but they're investing into an app that's very affordable to use. Okay. The third thing that IDEO has proven is that they're going to invest into a breaking clubs conference, okay? A breaking clubs business conference. As much as I know, breaking has never had an international business conference. Never. A breaking business conference. We've never ever had that, and this will be the first time that we're going to ever do that, and it's going to be focused for the first one specifically on breaking studios, schools, academies, and clubs. Okay, so we're gonna have guest speakers of successful breaking club owners coming in and giving, like, speeches about, what's their sauce that makes it run well. What did they do to make their club work, right? And we're gonna have like a networking thing where we'll be networking all the different worldwide breaking clubs and student schools together. So we will be meeting a lot of people if you come. We're going to be trying to include breaking brands, different type of breaking brands to come in, because breaking brands, breaking clubs, it makes sense to bring us together, right? And of course, breaking investors, right? So if you ever have any breaking ideas or things that you want to pitch, we're trying to invite as many breaking investors to come to see this as well. And at this Breaking Clubs conference, we're going to start the formation of the Breaking Clubs Council, where we're bringing the people who are coming together and see the vision to create a council where we're working together, right? And lastly, this is where we're going to be giving the in-depth presentation of the BLOC plan phase 2, okay? So the question is when, where? The launch of the BLOC and IDEO World Championships, the official launch, is going to be this October 28th to 30th, 2025, okay? The 28th is going to be the Breaking Business Conference, and the 29th and the 30th, it could be 1 or 2 days depending on how many schools and clubs and studios register. And this is going to be in Europe, in Ljubljana, I spelled it wrong there, in Slovenia, okay? It's going to take place there, and only breaking clubs can join. Okay, only breaking clubs, right? So regular b-boys and crews and stuff, they can't join unless they're representing a specific breaking club, okay? And there's different divisions that you can send your students. You can send for kids, you can send for junior, for adults. They can also have a solo division, a 2 versus 2, 7 versus 7, 11 versus 11, because the goal is to give different titles away for different categories, or different ages and categories, so that you can come home with some titles, that will help you to take your business and get recognition from your city much more more powerful, right? Okay. You also want to have the OGs that are coming to this event to sign off on some of the standards, not necessarily the foundation standards, but some standards of the Our System, to say, hey, we agree that this is how, for example, dynamics should be judged, right? And once again, the Breaking Business Conference will take place during this week, okay, October 20th to 30th, okay. So the benefits of joining the IDEO block, or the block, right, is we're gonna have a international club ranking where you're gonna be able to see where your school is according to the entire world, right, on an international level, right? And you'll have access to the Breaking Club Conference, so you can really learn how to take your studio or schools to the next level, right? From promotion, from dealing with parents and students and whatnot, right? Getting more and more ideas to take yours to the next level. You're going to create an international network. Everyone there, we're all going to be the same. So we're going to be able to work together, meet each other, and figure out ways to really come together and do something, right? You're going to have autonomy still, right? So no one's going to tell you, hey, you have to run your studio, your school, your club, your academy like this. No one's going to do that. You can run it the way you run it, right? There's going to be an opportunity for a transformation, right? So we'll transform from, studios, schools, and I hope that we can transform to like the club model, right? That's my goal, is to hopefully lead more studio schools to a club model, because I believe that it works better in terms of revenue and serving more people. We're going to learn how to do good business promotion together, how to promote your business much better. We're all working together to figure out how this works the best for everyone. We're going to start together, working together to grow each other's fan base. So actually having fans of your breaking studio, school, and club, like die-hard fans, right? We're going to have a student engagement, like protecting our students, because a lot of students, after a certain time they leave. We're going to talk about many ways of how to keep our students longer and keep them part of the club longer, right? We're going to start trying to create future careers for our breaking club members as they get older, right? A big one for me is that we're going to have cultural control. The control will be in the hands of the culture, the power in the hands of our culture, which I think our culture really desperately needs, right? Another thing is that we're going to be able to get license letters from like IDO recognizing you as the official BLOC member, right? Which those license letters, they go a long way with sponsorships, right? Which is why we use them a lot at R16, right? And another thing that IDEO is able to do is garner sponsorships, right, for the different disciplines, so they can help to garner sponsorships specifically for BLOC, and we can, that sponsorships will be used for the clubs in whichever projects and things that we want to do together. And lastly, another benefit is that if you're part of the club and you want to bring BLOC championships to your country or to your city, that's something that can be done. We want to work together to move the championships to different cities, right? So yeah, those are the benefits, right? So the only call to action, right? One call to action is that we need to prove we're capable by sending representatives to the IDO BLOC World Championships in Slovenia from October 20th to 30th, right? Whether you send one person from whatever category, or you send tons of people, it's totally up to you 100% who you want to send, right? Or how many you want to send. That's your choice, right? There's multiple categories, right? And if you're willing to come, you can raise funds or organize competitions or whatever you need to send your team. And once again, you can decide on the format, the rules, the prize of how to get them out there. Kids, juniors, and adults. There's solo B-boy and B-girl, 2 versus 2, 7 versus 7, and 11 versus 11. And the breaking club with the highest results can, organize the next BLOC championship in their city, perhaps, if it's something you want to do, right? So that is it, everyone. That is the project that we are working on right now. And if this is the first time you've seen it, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me anything. Ask me any questions, hit me up directly. I want to talk face-to-face if possible. Video call or just even text messages are totally cool with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Peace out. God bless.